All right, so I've got, let me change this view here. I've got my character set up. I've got my pedestal here. I've got my camera set up as well. And when you look at your timeline, you'll see that it spins around according to how long your timeline is set up. So mine is set up to 50 on this particular one. And so it goes around in 50 frames. And if you break that down, it's pretty quick. So that's a little too fast. And you'll also notice if I hit play here, there's something about the motion of that camera that just isn't right. And so what we're going to do is extend this animation out to at least 120 frames. And so we'll change the way our timeline is set up to show that. And then we also have to change the animation keyframe for this point right here, which is where it begins and ends. So I'm going to stop this real quick. One other thing that is good to know is you want your timeline to play back kind of like in a real time and play every frame. So make sure that when you right click anywhere over your timeline here, you want to go to see like where and how your animation is playing. So playback speed, not real time, not play every frame free, but try to do it max real time or play every frame max real time. Make sure it's set to that, and you'll get a pretty realistic idea of the motion of that camera as it moves around. So now to change the way our timeline is read, now mine is set up to 50. It says 50/50. So my timeline is set by this number right here, and my end of the animation is set by this. So I want to change this first, and this number denotes where my playhead is. So I'm going to change this one first. I want my total animation to be 120 frames. So I'm going to hit 120 there and hit enter. You'll notice that this is shortened because now my whole animation is not, or my whole timeline is not shown right there. But I want all 120 frames here. So I'm going to change this to 120 as well. And so now I can see all 120 frames lined up right here. But because when I created my camera, my timeline was only set to 50 frames, it only goes around for 50 frames and then it just stops. And I don't like that. So what I want to do, and I also don't like how it kind of slows down and then stops. And then when it continues, when it goes around, it starts off slow. So it's got an ease in and an ease out kind of automatically applied to that motion. So I'm going to change that as well. And to do that, I'm going to have to get into a graph editor. So let's go ahead and go to Windows. And I'm going to go to Animation Editors and Graph Editor. Now it doesn't show me much because I don't have anything selected. When I select my camera, now suddenly I have something shown up here. If I use my middle mouse button and scroll out, I'll see that my animation stops at frame 50. You'll see also this curve, which is showing the ease in and the ease out. First thing I want to do, and I notice that it's set at 1. We want to keep it at 1 because this denotes a different path that we don't want to mess with. I want to first take this and I'm going to hold shift and I'm going to slide it. When I hold shift, that arrow keeps it on that line. I'm going to slide it to 120 right there. Smack it right there. It still has that ease in and ease out to it. But now my animation will start and end in 120 frames. It says 50 still right here, but that'll change. Now I want to break these tangents right here. I don't want that slow in and slow out, ease in, ease out. So what I want to do is select this tangent, and you can alter it. You know, if you wanted more slow and or you want to speed it up, you can change that here. I'm going to undo that. But what I want to do is put a linear tangent on it, which is this. So with this one selected, I'm going to hit linear tangent. And notice that now it goes straight. I'm going to do the same thing for this one. Linear tangent. Now it's just a straight line. So when this plays, it's going to continue on just constantly at the same rate. So it doesn't have an appearance of it pausing and then restarting again, which is something that I like. So I'm going to stop this now. My computer's starting to whine a little bit. I'm going to close this graph editor, and you can maneuver around this graph editor just like you do your viewport. I can middle mouse click and move up and down and so on. I can use my middle mouse scroll to move around as well. So that is something simple, easy, how to change keyframes on your graph editor. And I'm going to close this out. And now when I click my circle, it changes to 120, which is where I want it to be. The next thing to do is make sure that your camera view is showing you what you want it to show you. So best way to do that is to switch over to your panels and change it to camera view. I'm awfully close right here. So what I want to think about is, what is my camera actually going to show in its view? And an easy way to do that is by clicking this, which is the film gate, and that shows me a view of what would be rendered if I were to render this scene. His head's going to be chopped off. So that tells me I need to make some adjustments to my scene here, and I'm going to do that by switching to a different panel layout. I'm going to switch one of these to camera, and this one's fine as perspective. What I want to do is maybe expand this ring a little bit by scaling it larger. And as I scale it larger, it makes my camera move further away. Now I think that's good, but what I'm going to do now is take that ring and use my translate tool and move it up just a little bit so it centers my figure right in that scene. So now let's see, space bar over the camera scene. So now as I spin this around, I can see my character moving all the way around. Now you'll notice it looks a little jerky sometimes. A way to fix that is to change the number of sides on your circle. So let's go there. So let's look at this circle. It's got a bunch of ridges around it if you look closely. So I'm going to select that circle, and I'm going to go up here, and I'm going to find that NURB circle, and I want to change the sections. I want to change the sections to 360. I want it to be super smooth. So 360 sections rather than 8 sections is going to do that for me. So let's go back to my camera and let's see how that motion looks now. Other than my computer just being laggy, this is going to work out. I can tell by scrubbing it's already a lot smoother than what it was before. So now I have a good view set up, and I've got my camera set up and my timeline set up, and that looks like it's good to go. So next thing to do is going to be to hide this background. And if you haven't already, you can take your background panel, your plane, and you can put it on its own layer. And I think I might have shown that in the previous video. But if your plane is easy to click on, you can select it and click on this right here and change it and create a new layer, which is what I did, and I named that layer backdrop. Now I can take it and I can restrict it basically, so now it cannot be selected. I can also turn it off so where I cannot see it either, which is something that's kind of nice. So now I've got a nice little scene set up, and I'm about ready to start rendering. So I'm going to leave it at that for now, and we'll pick up next time.